Hi, in this tutorial we're going to talk about the SCUTA calendar and documenting events. We're going to cover ASCA categories, topics, referrals, mindsets, domains, lessons, pre-post testing, and students. So there's a lot, so let's get going. How do we specify an event? Let's say we have an event from 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock. So the way that we do this is all with the mouse. If you were using Outlook, you'd have to specify the day, the start time, the end time. Here you just click on 8, drag while you've got the mouse down until 9 and release. And now we have our input panel to the right, which is an intelligent input panel. And the reason I'm saying that is because here under category, we have all the 7 ASCA categories plus a special, which we'll talk about later. And as I pick one of these categories, the remaining part of the input panel adjusts. So for example, if I'm on school counseling core curriculum and I pick bully prevention, you see that we've got different inputs. If I pick career development, different inputs. So intelligently, it changes what it's showing us. So I'm just going to pick just something simple here. We're just going to go with assembly, and I'll hit create. So now we just created this one event. Now, let's say that the event did not last 1 hour, but let's say it lasted longer, let's say an hour and a half. So all that I would do is I'm moving my cursor. You can see the mouse. When I move the cursor here, it's got a hand. Over here, it's an arrow, so I can adjust the length. Increase it in size, decrease it in size. When we've got the pointer, I can move it. So I could drag it anywhere I would like. So if it, instead of it happening at between 8 and 9 on Monday, let's say it happened on Tuesday between 9 and 10. Or I could just drag it back to 8 and 9. What I'm going to do now is just so that we can have like a little quick view, I'm going to show you all of the events that all of the categories. So the first one is school counseling core curriculum. The second one is going to be individual student planning. I'll just hit create with the defaults. The third one is going to be responsive services. The fourth one is going to be referral consultation. The fifth one is going to be program foundation. The sixth one is going to be fair share responsibility. And finally, we're going to have non-school counseling tasks. Okay, so here we are. Now what I'd like you to see is all the colors, how each item is color-coded. All the greens, the blues, the purple, and the orange. Now, the other thing that we would like to do here is let's create another event here, and I'll just create another school counseling core curriculum event. As we're filling in our calendar, we'd like to know, well, how are we doing statistically here? How's our use of time analysis? Here, next to, on the right of log out, we've got a call out. And here we've got over all of our statistics. And the statistics are being calculated dynamically. So currently we've got 71% of our 80% goal. And the way that we get the 71% is we add the school counseling core curriculum, plus the individual student planning, plus the responsive services, plus the referral and consultation. So when you add these up, you'll get 71%. On the program management, our goal is to have less than 20%. We currently have 21%. Notice this is yellow. So it's not just red and green. Yellow says we're close to it. So we're at 21%, which is a little bit higher than 20%. And we'd like to have 20% or less. And on the non-school counseling task, we've got 7%. So there, we're a little high. Now, how can we make these green? If I take this and I drag this, notice these areas calculate instantly. So here, this decreased to the percentages under 20% now, and this is closer to 80%. And notice again, it doesn't have to be exactly 80%, but it's giving us, instead of a warning that you're not at 80%, it's an encouragement. Hey, you know what? You're almost there. And notice if I increase it, it's doing the calculation, 79%, increase a little bit more, and now we're over 80%. So now you can see there's 2 greens and the red. What we can do here is there was one more category that we mentioned, and I'll show you one more thing on the calendar. Here, if you've noticed, there's an all day. So here, if we wanted to depict, instead of going from the beginning of the calendar to the end of the calendar and dragging it, if we click here, it knows that it's for the whole day. Now we can pick a topic, let's say special topic, and we've created these topics specifically for this purpose, to specify a holiday, in-service, professional sick day, personal sick day, professional development, or weather closing. So let's just say it's professional development, and we can put descriptions here and whatever. I'm just going to create it. So now it takes up all of the day. If we look at our calculations, it's still at 82%. Nothing's changed. If I delete this, delete the event, and we look at our statistics, we're still at 82%. So that special category does not affect our calculations. It's there purely for documentation purposes. Now, let's do a little bit of a detail here. If you wanted to actually delete, and we don't need this, we'll put that away. In order to, if you wanted to delete or to edit an event, you just click on it. To delete, you just hit delete, and it's asking you to verify, do you want to delete this? Yes? Yes. So let's do something that people would love to have during setup. Let's say that, and I'll delete this event also. Let's say that the first thing that we're doing is from 7:30 to 8 o'clock while school starts, you're doing, let's say, a fair share responsibility. And that fair share responsibility is actually not fair. Yes, fair share responsibility. And you're doing a duty. And the duty is the arrival and dismissal. So this normally happens every morning, and it is a repeat event, and it's daily. And now we picked daily for the repeat event. And notice also it could be daily, weekly, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, every 4, 5, 6 weeks, every 12th of the month, only because it's on the 12th of this month, or on the second Monday of every month, only because it just Monday the 9th of the 12th of September happens to be the second Monday of that month. So let's just say daily. And again, on the daily, we can start repeat once, twice, 3 times, as many times you want, or until the end of the school year. Now remember when we did the profile, we specified the end of the school year. So now if I click on this and I create, with one press of the button, now it takes a little bit of time because it's doing it for all these dates, we just created the duty for every day. Let's look at our monthly view now. You can see here, here's our monthly view, and we're going all the way to the end of the school year. So we can go September, October, November, and so on and so on, all the way until the end of our year, which we said was going to be the 14th of June. So let's go back to where we are. So currently we're here, and let's look at the weekly view. At the weekly view for September. Okay. I'll illustrate briefly. You can see how powerful that is. With one click, you've got the whole year down. Let's show you another example. And let's say that we've got individual student planning or responsive services. Let's just pick responsive services for a minute. If we look at responsive services, here are our topics. You can have counseling, groups, interventions, CPS. There's a whole bunch. We've got 204 different categories. So let's just say you're doing a counseling group. The referral source, it could be administrator, colleague, counselor, parent, peers, school-based team, school support staff, self, teacher, other. Let's say that it was teacher. And now on the focus and on domain, we've got the academic, career, and social emotional. And let's say that this was attendance. And the lesson is being there. So now this is a new lesson, and I'll create new. We just created a lesson. And school counselor, SCUTA is really an advocate for the school counselor. And how do we advocate for the school counselor? We basically want to illustrate the change that a school counselor has on the student, the improvement that he can perform, how he benefits the students. How do we do this? Well, we had the lesson here. And what we'd like to do is to have a baseline and a result. Prior to the lesson, what's the understanding? What percentage of the skill did the group actually know? And let's just say that the group understood 30% of this goal, and by the end, we had the 90% learning. So we took a 30% knowledge level and brought it up to 90%. We can have a description we could type in. Just because there's a field there doesn't mean you need to describe it. If you'd like to put a description in, you could put a description in. And I'm just going to say my description for now. And as far as the students, here we could specify, since it's a group, let's just say that we had third grade. And we just created this group. And we could put a note in there. Bring guest speaker, and it could either be a repeat event or a once and done. We've already gone through a repeat event, so I'm just going to have a once and done and create. So we just created this event. It's here. So we see that it's responsive services, counseling group. The students that we saw were third grade, my description, and being there was the name of the lesson. Similarly, we could pick other types of events to document, and we could go to referrals consultation. You could do behavior, bully prevention, career development. Let's just pick career development. And now we've got subtopics here, fields, portfolio. You could say who it was, the description, if it's repeat or not, and just create. So briefly, all that I wanted you to see here was the way we have repeat events and the way that we can create new events. Now, there is one thing that I'd like to show on the repeat event, an additional thing, and I'm just going to pick this, and I'm going to go into responsive services, and I'm going to pick counseling individuals, and the referral source this time, let's say that it's peers, and it's going to be conflict resolution, and the lesson is getting along. Let's just say that that's the lesson. And in the beginning, we had a 30% knowledge, and at the end, we had a 80% knowledge. And the students, it wasn't third grade. This time it was just a student. It was John. And I just create John and Mary. And we just created them. Now, let's say that this is going to be a repeat event. I'm just going to pick daily so we can see it on this calendar. And I'm going to say that it's going to repeat 2 more times. And I'll hit create. And now we've got 3 events, the original plus 2 repetitions. Well, I had the next event, Wednesday's event, scheduled to happen at 12 o'clock, but something happened and I got delayed. So I postponed it. I rescheduled it for 1 o'clock. What do? Just drag it. And it's asking me, do you want to move all of these repeat events or just this one occurrence? I'm just going to pick this one occurrence. Save this. And now what that does is the other 2 remain there and this one gets changed. Now on Wednesday, John and Mary showed up, but also I invited Fred. And we did a similar lesson. It wasn't getting along. It was being friends. And this time it wasn't 30%. It was from 50%. I brought it up to 90%. And I hit save. Again, it's asking me, is it for all of them or just this one? I'm just changing this one. And now notice we've got on the first one, we've got getting along. On this lesson, it's being friends. And here we've got John, Mary, and Fred. And finally, on the third one, let's make a change there too. It's not getting along, and this time it is talking about people. New lesson, and this went from 60% to 90%. And we also had George in this one, and John wasn't there. So just Mary and George. We hit save, and we save this event. So this was very powerful. We created some repeat events, and here in each one of these repeat events, we changed the lesson plan from getting along to being friends to talking about people. We had John and Mary in this one, John, Mary, and Fred in this one, and Mary and George in this one. And we've got our calendar in front of us. We could see our statistics, and we learned how to manipulate the form, so we could basically drag things around, move them around. And that's really the intro into the calendar. I hope you enjoyed this. Tune back next time for more tutorials. Thank you.